Alright, hello everyone and welcome back to my Fallout 4 Mod Spotlight series, where today we are having a look at the Recharger Gun mod, which is being made by user Bones. And what this glorious little piece of work looks to add into the game is the Recharger Rifle and Pistol from Fallout New Vegas, and I've been having so much fun with this mod, as not only am I just so happy to see these weapons here in the Commonwealth because, well, I loved the Recharger weapons in New Vegas. They were some of my favorites, but it's also a new energy weapon for Fallout 4, and I'm always a sucker for some fun new energy weaponry. So let's jump on over here and have a look at what we do get with the most standard version of the Recharger Pistol, which at its basic level will do 10 energy damage with a new custom charge round with a firing rate of 50, range of 149, accuracy of 76, and a pretty hefty weight of 11.3. And as you can see here, this thing is beautifully made. I love both the texturing and modeling on this thing. It was very well put together. You do gotta love everything about this. And considering that we are in Fallout 4, the Recharger Pistol is really the standard version of this, and it can be turned into the Recharger Rifle through the grip category down here. We can change it from a pistol grip to a rifle stock, which is pretty darn neat. And as for the other modifications, we've got some pretty good stuff in here. Nothing too crazy, and honestly, pretty much everything in here is more or less on par with things you've already seen on the laser weaponry in the game, but just, you know, slightly changed for the new aesthetic of the Recharger gun. But we do also have some nice aesthetic texture options here too, so you can change up the look of this thing to more match your own personal style, which is lovely. Now, as for how you do get your hands on one of these lovely things, well, besides cheating it in with console commands like I did, you can find them on vendors, specifically Good Neighbor and Brotherhood vendors. So basically, yeah, the town of Good Neighbor and the Pridwin are where you are going to be able to purchase these out there in the world. And as for the modifications, let's head on over here and take a look at what we do get, starting with the capacitors here, where we start with the standard one, moving to a photon exciter, beta wave tuner to add some fire damage in there, gotta love some burning, and going all the way up to things like the boosted photon agitator, boosted gamma wave emitter, and the overcharged capacitor, which will do, without any perks, the highest level of damage for this weapon at 17, so it's definitely not the most powerful thing ever, but it's sort of that trade-off between having unlimited ammo or something that's more powerful. So yes, it is a lower damage weapon, though there is a extra patch basically on the download page for this. If you don't like that, the mod maker has made an optional download for a basically double damage, I believe is what it is for the weapon, but I'm just on the standard one here right now. Now on to the next category, we do have the barrels, where we have either a short, a medium, or a long barrel for increased range. We then have the grips, where you can change it from that pistol grip to a rifle stock. Always nice to have that additional accuracy and take advantage of those rifleman perks. Then after that, in the magazines, we've got the standard, large, and extra large magazines for increased ammo capacity of your recharge rounds here. And then we have the sights, where we have the standard sight, the improved sight, glow sight, combat scope short, a normal short scope, and a medium combat scope, which is nice to have these options. I would love to see a few more added in, like maybe a reflex sight or something along those lines. But the biggest issue here, and my biggest complaint for the mod right now, is they basically don't work. The where you aim through any sight, whether it's the iron sights or the medium scope, doesn't actually match up with where the beam hits. That's a problem with the mod at the moment, and the mod maker does seem to know it, and they recommend for right now just hip firing. And hip firing in VATS, it works just fine, but yes, scoped shooting is effectively useless. So yeah, hopefully that does get fixed soon. Now after the sights, we've got the focuser here, where we either have a standard beam focuser or a fine-tuned beam focuser to increase your range, accuracy, and of course, recoil. And then finally, we have the texture category, where we have a standard yellow, which gives you that blue look of the gun up here, but with the tubes in the back, those are the yellow bit, and so is the beam. Now, next we have the Brotherhood one, which has the nice black texture with the blue tubes and, of course, a blue beam. The Institute is white on red with a red beam, which I think is my favorite. I love the color red, what can I say? We then have a pink beam, where it just goes hardcore into everything pink there. A purple one, where you got the black texturing, the purple tubes and purple beam. And finally, Vault Tech, which is kind of the same as the yellow one here, but it's a bit deeper of a blue, has the Vault Tech logo on the back there, and of course has yellow tubes and yellow beam. And all easy to make with just a couple of oil. Now, one more thing I want to talk about while we're in here is in the capacitor category going back. The other bug with this at the moment that, again, hopefully gets fixed soon, is the standard capacitor has no sound. All of the other capacitors, I have tested all of these, they all produce sound when you shoot. The standard capacitor, though, if we just exit out real quick and pull the gun out, yeah, it makes no sound whatsoever, no matter how much you fire. It's a very weird bug. I've never seen something like that before, but if we just go one step up to the photon exciter and exit out of the workbench there, well, now listen, we have sound. There we go. And of course, as you could hear there, it is borrowing the same sound as the standard laser gun, and of course, the same laser beam, just adding in the cool tubes lighting up, which I do like that the ones on the back do turn off when you fire, and the ones on the front turn on. Just sort of a nice effect, and it's kind of hard to see out here in the bright light, but let's actually go inside a little. You can kind of see the fluctuation of the glow on the tubes, which is pretty cool. And the darker the environment, the more noticeable that is. It's a pretty cool little effect. I do very much enjoy it. Now, as for firing here, it is, of course, well, functioning like the recharger pistol did back in New Vegas. It charges up, as you can see, slowly in the lower right-hand corner. As we stop firing, it'll get back up to it. And if we do empty all 7 rounds there, you can see up in the top left, it does say missing required ammo. But, of course, the gun recharges it all for you back to normal. Now, as for the HUD element that you do have for the ammunition down there on the lower right, there is another alternate download that you can get on the download page for the mod that gives a HUD replacement to make it look more like it did in Fallout New Vegas, which is pretty cool. But it's just, another additional mod thing, so if you don't mind just having the standard look for ammunition down there, then, just stick with this. Now, as for the sights and such, as I mentioned, they don't really work at the moment. Let's actually show it off best with the scoped one that I made here. I've got this focused, overcharged recharger rifle, and if we grab, does have a nice scope on there, but if you notice, well, even though the target's roughly centered, it's not hitting anything. Yeah, it's noticeable on everything, whether you go for, like, the improved sights, like right there, I should be hitting the target. But it's actually shooting just below, as you can see here when I go to hit fire. Yeah, you have to, like, aim above things for it to actually work in the sights, which is real weird. Hopefully the mod maker does fix that, but for the time being, you know what? Hip firing, it's a pretty darn accurate weapon when being hip fired. So I haven't really minded it so far, plus in VATS it works just the same too. But all in all, it's just a fun weapon to play around with, and I love that the colors of the tubes match with the beams. I love the actual recharge mechanic, because I loved that in New Vegas. And just all in all, it's a great little setup. So let's take a look at how this thing does function against an enemy. So let me, wait a moment for this thing to recharge a little bit more. I think I've got the 20-round high capacity one going there. So yeah, let's just go ahead and spawn ourselves in a Deathclaw, as is the new normal. And hello, Deathclaw! It's 17 damage! Oh god, run! It's 17 damage! Yes, that is certainly the downside of this gun right now. that it is extraordinarily low damage. Again, there is that alternate patch, which you can get to double that damage, but it is still nonetheless pretty low. Even with the doubled, it's not the greatest. But again, that is also without any of your usual perks in the game. So whether you're using Rifleman or anything like that, it will affect that there. Yeah, let's switch over to this. Oh my god, it's going to take us forever to kill this Deathclaw. You know what? I think we may not end up killing him today because, oh god, my limbs! Run away! Oh, I can't run. My legs are broken. Oh, boy. I can shoot. Oh, I forgot I can shoot through the mesh. Yes, and Stimpack. There we are. But yes, that is really all there is today for this weapon. The Recharger gun is pretty great. I've been having a lot of fun with it. I think it's great for any sort of energy weapon character build, especially if you are going, say, Brotherhood, since the Brotherhood does, or rather is, one of the people who sell this weapon. I think it's a fun thing. I just hope that the sound gets fixed on the standard capacitor and that the scopes get fixed on everything else. That would be rather quite nice. But yeah, that is going to be it for this one today, folks. Hopefully you all have enjoyed, and you do come back for the next, when hopefully we'll be looking at yet another wonderful mod. But until that time, thank you for watching, and as always, have a good one.